Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Relaunch Real Estate Podcast. I'm very, very happy to have a friend in the business and somebody here local in Indianapolis. Her name is Lindsey Smalling. She's with us today. She's the owner of the Smalling Group with FC Tucker, which is a big brokerage in Indianapolis area, and very excited to have her. Lindsey, thanks for joining.
No, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So tell everybody, let's just start out with where you're from, your family, those kind of things.
So I am from Morgan County. I'm here in Mooresville, and our office is located here as well. And I have two children, a 7 and 9-year-old, and basically just love real estate. That's pretty much all that contains my life with my family and church and just work.
How long have you been doing real estate?
Almost 13 years now.
Wow.
Yep.
I didn't know you'd been doing it that long.
I started as the admin first and then got into obviously getting my real estate license as a buyer's agent and then kind of went up from there.
Okay. And so for those of us who don't understand Indy, Mooresville is like a suburb on the southwest side of Indianapolis. It's a really growing community. So that's where Lindsey's at and lives. And do you have two offices now?
Yes, we have one in Mooresville and another in Plainfield.
Okay. So you've been doing this for 13 years and you've got a family, and man, I know that you're really busy because I know your numbers. Let's talk about that. What have you accomplished this year in the business? What's the Smalling Group accomplished this year?
So we actually just looked at our numbers, and I was actually shocked with everything going on this year with COVID and whatnot, but we are ahead of schedule of where we were last year as of September of what we did last year. So we're couple months actually, since we still obviously have to finish up November and finish up December, but we've done over 60 million and almost 300 transactions.
That's amazing. 60 million, 300 transactions. That is awesome. And what's the size of your group?
So we have 10 licensed team members and we have 2 admins right now.
Okay. So sorry, go ahead.
And we're all full-time.
Okay. And I'm going to circle back to that before the end, because there absolutely could be and should be listeners that are listening to this that are team leaders. And so I would love to ask you just kind of like how your structure is, how everybody's structured there, because it would be really fruitful for everybody to hear. So $60 million, 300 transactions with really 12 people.
Correct. Yes.
That's fantastic. How much of that is you?
I would say, I haven't really done the numbers, but I would say probably 15 to 20 of that is mine.
15 to 20 mil?
Correct.
Okay. And you've been doing this for 13 years. And I think I know the answer just because I know you, but for listeners, do you now work with buyers and sellers, or are you just exclusively listings now?
So I literally just looked at my numbers on this, which is crazy, but I'm about 95% sellers.
Okay.
And 5% buyers. And the buyers that I actually work with are people that specifically say, hey, I want to use you, Lindsey, and no one else on your team. So just like, for instance, if my pastor wanted to use me and me only, I would obviously work with him.
Yeah. 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 You can't, in this business, if there's somebody that, goes way back, or like a past client that you absolutely love, it's really hard to ever pass them off, right? I mean, because they feel passed off.
Right. It is. But I also like to, I've had people refer me and then I've referred it out, but I go back to team, which really helps. Like if I refer one, just recently I did this weekend and I said, hey, Ashley, she's one of my top buyer's agents. She's going to help you. She's awesome. She knows the area. And I talk my team members up because they are awesome. So,
yeah.
But it gets easier and easier, but it's more of, at first it was a OCD. I don't want to give it off because I want to make sure that they're taken care of. But now I have learned to grow and trust my team.
Yeah. And that takes a lot of time.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's funny because we've interviewed a lot of agents now, and seriously, everybody that's scaled to a team, they all say the same story. They're like, I'm OCD. I'm really direct person. I like to push for results. I want the results to be like me, like I'd have it. And it's very, very hard to give that up. What year? So you've been doing this for 13 years. When did you start giving things up?
Um, Sad to say, like within the last 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So I let my team start doing because I was running the team with all the listings. Like I was doing everybody's listings. And then once, I've got a team member that's been on there for 5 to 7 years. Obviously they can do their own listings. And I know that. So it was one of those things where I actually got a business coach at the time, and she was saying, you need to leverage your time. You need to start giving it away. Help out with your own time and family and whatever. And my kids are getting older. So I kind of just took that leap of faith and trusted that, again, at that time, that my team can do it. And they have proved themselves for sure.
Yeah. You guys are rocking on all cylinders if you've done 60 million with only, 10 agents. That's amazing.
Yes.
So let's talk about that for a second. What was kind of the straw that hit the camel's back, or whatever the phrase is, like what was the moment where you decided I can't do this without leveraging myself out anymore? Was there a time period that you remember?
When I went independent, on my own, the first thing I did was I bought 46158 on realtor.com. And I've gotten so busy at that time that I was like, oh my gosh, I need help. And so that's when I had 2 people literally fall into my lap. And I was like, okay, you guys are going to be my buyer's agents. And they went and got their license, and it all just literally panned out. Then I had to get an admin because we all 3 started getting busy. But it was one of those things where I started getting too many sellers and buyers. I knew I couldn't give them the support and love that they need to build a relationship. And I want them to obviously use us again. And I knew I had to get help at that time.
Yours really came down to you wanted to deliver the same amazing service. You got so busy, and you got lucky that 2 people fell in your lap that wanted to work in the business.
Correct. Yes.
Are they still with you today?
They are. Yep.
That's awesome. Carrie and Ashley?
Yep.
Okay. Man, that is awesome. So I guess let's talk about that a little bit more. Team growth. So you were on your own, you went independent, and when did you begin the Smalling Group?
So it was shortly after I went independent, and then I started growing.
What year was that?
My own team. That was 2011-ish.
Okay.
So 2012.
Okay. So you've been 8 years, 7, 8 years in growing the team.
Yes.
And you're doing it slow and controlled, sounds like. Like you're hiring quality people versus lots of people if you've got 10 people doing 60 million.
So I will say everyone that is on the team as of right now has fallen into my lap, and literally I've never had to recruit as far as, hey, we're hiring for the Smalling Group. Literally the people have come to me. I have sat down with them, had one-on-ones, many conversations before I had them on the team, just because I want to make sure it's a good fit for our team. I want to keep my team. Yeah. So that's things where, yes, we do have a dynamic, but it's a great dynamic.
Yeah. So. What do you say to them when you're interviewing them?
So one of the things I just want to know, like why they're doing real estate. What is your why? Because I think it will always go back to that. And what their passion is. Like, why do you want to sell homes? It's not just a open the door, meet and greet kind of deal, but just to see if they can create that relationship like I have with my past clients, and just to see if they're a good fit. If they want to work like I work. Obviously, I know no one's going to be just like me, but sure. I want people that just want to do onesie twosies. I want a hardworking team, which obviously that's what we've done over the last. So
do you tell them like the realities of the real estate business, like how it can be difficult? And
the good, the bad, the ugly? It's a love and hate relationship. But I will say I used to waitress and I used to train. So I could tell people like, okay, she's going to last 2 weeks, 2 years. She's going to be a good fit. Like I can tell just by talking to somebody and what they're telling me, if this is a good fit for them.
Yeah.
And the run, I'm sure you know how that that goes.
Oh yeah, I mean, so it's like the classic weed out, right? Like you got an agent that comes in and they're like, "Oh, I just love houses and I love showing houses and I just think like this is going to be like HGTV and I get to just
Yes,
take these buyers and they're going to buy houses so fast." And we as leaders we need to say that is not how this
right.
works.
Yep, that is not the reality.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I think that's absolutely crucial takeaway is that if you are trying to build a team, when you're bringing people on, you need to tell them the absolute garbage of the profession. Like what is the worst things that you go through and what to expect. Because if you're, I can tell you that there are organizations out there that I have encountered that their recruiting philosophy is tell everybody that they're going to be a hero and like tell everybody that they're going to be a superstar and they're all going to sell $20 million and everything's amazing. And then they set up a lot of these people for failure.
right. Oh yes. And one of my things is if people come to me and they're like, "Oh, I want to make my own schedule." It's not like that. Like
Yeah.
it's not making your own schedule. This is your lifeline. Like you're on your phone 24/7. And I am one of those people that I need to continually grow as far as shutting it off.
Mhm.
And it's hard, especially as a team lead, because your team's on one end needing help and then you have clients needing help. And so you're all the time constant going, going, going.
Oh,
But
yeah.
the good thing about where I'm at is I can go, go, go with my kids. I'm at a point there as far as
Mhm.
that. So
Yeah, it's challenging. So talk about that. Talk about your kids and how you and your husband kind of juggled your children and still today do so because you guys are both very busy. Lindsay's husband owns a really successful construction company, so he's very, very busy as well. How did you guys do that as you were growing your team and your volume?
so when my children were very young, they would come with me, but then it came to a point where, okay, they started walking and talking and I can't take them with me everywhere.
Yep.
So we did find a local place to help take care of the kids. But now as they've gotten older, my goal is, okay, they get on the bus at 8:30. So between 8:30 and 4, that's when I'm getting my work time done. I am hustling and grinding during those times to when I'm at home to get them off the bus. And then obviously I help my daughter with cheer. And then my husband basically has time block now too, to where he's helping my son with football, baseball, whatever. So we have literally, that's our time to get our work done. Now there are times obviously when we have to do appointments on the weekend
Yeah.
and or in the evening, but I have tried to delegate those out to the team. Like
Yeah.
I have a point to do that.
Well, the majority of your time back before you had a team at all was probably in showings, right? Like you were just
Correct.
showing houses like crazy.
Yes.
And
That's
that's when you miss your family.
Yes. But
So
I had to let that and I actually got a little bit smarter to okay, sellers. And I
yes.
have that's why I geared toward the seller market, just because it is more on my phone. Yes, it's a one-on-one appointment for the listing or whatever and the closing, but the rest of it is literally at home,
Yep.
on the whatever.
Stuff that you can take care of between 8 and 4:30,
Correct.
generally
Yes.
during the day.
Correct.
Especially in our market and pretty much everywhere else, they're selling pretty quickly. So, your maintenance is more so transactional management after a contract versus the actual marketing at this time.
Right. And we have that for 110% in office. So
Okay.
we have, like, that is one thing I will tell you. I had to, for 2 months, look for my admins and
Yeah.
interview, and we've found the best ones.
What do your admins do? Like, what are their roles? You have two of them. What do they do?
So we have social media, we have getting the listing presentations together, updating our board, our spreadsheets. Literally, we have it to where our team is out working the business as far as appointments, following up, whether it be at home or in the office or whatever, to where the paperwork side of it, the girls are helping out with making sure our checklists are done. And we have literally formulated a checklist that's taken us 10 plus years to get.
Yeah.
We're speaking it, but it is spot on. Like, and I share it with anyone and everyone that wants it.
So when you guys pinned a deal, when you
Yes.
pinned one of your listings or any agent on your team pins a deal, it goes through the admin, takes care of transaction coordination all the way to closing.
Yep. Listing or buy side goes straight to our admins.
Are your admins licensed?
They are not.
Okay. So really the only thing the agents have to do is they jump in and they're negotiating inspection responses or appraisals
Correct. Yes.
if there's an appraisal issue. Okay. And where'd you find these admins?
So basically, within FC Tucker, they did like through HR, are managing as far as dwindling down over 150 applications that we had. Dwindled them down to I think 20, and then I did phone interviews with the 20, then narrowed it down to 10, and then I had one-on-ones literally with the 10, and that's why it took so long as far as like a 2-month process. And I dwindled down to 3, and then I picked my top 2.
That's really so Tucker, your brokerage that you work for, they put out like a job post for you
On
to try
Indeed.
and oh, okay. And they created a bunch of applicants and then said, okay, Lindsay, here are the applicants that we found. Time for you to filter through.
Yes, they interviewed though down to 20.
Okay.
Yes, interviewed for me, and then I picked out of that 20. I kind of did my own interviewing process, brought them into the office. If the team was in here, they could see and meet and greet and kind of give me their fill too, just for a short time. And then we filtered it out and weeded it down to 2. And there's
so we have 2 admin now as well, and the hiring thing is a full-time job. Like my sales dropped for like 2 months because I was so concentrated on finding the 2 admins that we had.
I get it.
So it's beautiful that I guess that's the perks, right, of working for an organization, is they kind of took the front end of it and gave you some candidates, but obviously at the end of the day, you had to make the decision.
Right. Oh, yes. But you got to understand, like, they're the 2 that's going to be Monday through Friday working with the team. And if they weren't there, I'm telling you right now, we wouldn't have been able to do what we did this year, last year. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So,
and what kind of personalities do they have?
So one is the motherly. We have
Okay.
one that like tries to talk some sense, or if let's say someone's coming in and having a bad day, she's the encourager. Like, it's going to be all right, kind of deal. And the other one's just really laid back, get stuff done, super cool and chill.
Okay.
So
yeah, it's interesting. They probably aren't like super boisterous or loud or direct or assertive, are they?
No. Now, I will tell you, the motherly one that I'm referencing, she will tell you, like, she will say, Lindsay, I know you probably don't want to hear this and it's none of my business, and she will kind of like try to help me. Just because it is a tough job being a team lead with, we have 9 female, 1 male. It's tough. It's hard. We're one big family, and I'm the type of team lead that I want to make everybody happy.
Yeah.
And I know everybody happy, but I do try.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting how an admin role so I call one of our admins boss. So like when she calls me, I'm like, hey boss, because I think us as leaders sometimes we need somebody to be like, hey, you need to focus on what's right here. Or, hey, you need to stop being pushed around. Or, hey, you can't solve every problem.
Yes.
You got to be able to take control of what you can take control of. So is the motherly admin, is she older than you, or is she younger, or how's that work?
Little bit older, but not by much.
Okay. All right.
So, yeah.
So you have somebody to help kind of keep you in line and focus on the things that you can control.
Yeah. And I think that kind of helps. She was in a role before she started with us to where that's what she did. So that kind of helps out as well. But I refer to them as the chaos coordinators just because our team, we are crazy. We're in and out, literally acting like we're crazy people sometimes. Yeah. But with it, and they deal with us so well that like some of us may come in and we're in and out, and we're not mad. We're in there for a purpose, and we're in there to work out. So, and they have gotten to know all of our personalities, so they know how we are.
Yep. How to talk to you appropriately. Do you guys ever utilize any personality testing when you're hiring people or in your office, or no?
Yes, we have the DISC personality ones.
Okay. So what are your admins? Do you remember? Do you remember what they are?
I think we have a C and an I. So we already have 2 high Ds, so we don't need any more. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. But we have a couple that are very dominant and direct.
Yep.
So
C's and I's, those are perfect. High C is a perfect admin, right? Like they're cautious and systematic, and they have to make sure everything's right. So that's perfect. That's cool that you guys do that.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, kind of recapping admin stuff, you guys, if you guys are bringing on admin, you definitely have to be thinking about people that do a personality test. And you've heard it in real estate before, but like if they are not high S or high C, they shouldn't be an admin. If they're all D or all I, they need to be an agent. That's what they should be doing because they're driven by the people.
Right.
Take your time. So to recap that, you had a funnel of probably over 20 people, got to 20 people. You interviewed them all, took 2 months and got down to your 2.
Correct.
Hire slow.
Yes, exactly. We also have someone that calls on our leads too, like our lead gen system. And she does that hourly and she is licensed.
Okay. And so she's like an ISA. She's like an inside sales agent, sort of, but for leads that have registered with you guys already.
Correct. Yes. And that kind of helps too, to where the girls cannot do that. I mean, there's no way.
Yeah.
So agent to do that, to help out.
So that is a really popular job type in real estate that we have experimented with and hired. And it sounds like you have as well. So let's talk more about that job style, what they do, and those kind of things. So you guys get inbound leads. Where are they coming from?
All over the internet, realtor.com, Zillow, Facebook, Google, Listcast.
Okay. And you get all these leads, and when they come in, do they immediately go to that person to qualify first, or do they go to somewhere else?
So if the agents want to take them, they can. If they're not available, then they go into a pool, and that's where she goes in and shuffles through those and calls them and, follows up with those leads.
Okay. So lead comes in, gets offered to an agent. Do you guys do that on a round robin, or you do that on production? How's that work?
No, it literally goes out to all the team's phones.
At one time?
At one time. Yep.
I love that.
Yes.
So it's like if you don't answer first, you don't get it.
Correct. Now, when I first started, that is not how it was. It was a round robin, but I changed it to that just because I want the team to all feel like they have a chance.
Yeah.
And it's choice at that point. If you can get it, great. If not, then let it go to the next person who can actually work the lead.
Yeah. It's also going to show you as a leader who is really motivated to work those leads and who isn't. Because Correct. I'll tell you, in our brokerage, we do lead days. And so like if it's your lead day, you get all the leads that day that come in no matter what. And it's basically like a round robin, but it's on days. It's not when leads come in. And I'll tell you that not every agent, as you know, is motivated to work those leads the same. Mm-hmm. And we have some days where the leads are getting worked really well and some days where they're not getting touched at all. And it's very frustrating as a leader. Mm-hmm. So I've heard it being called like a simulcast rotation or whatever, where they cast the lead out to everybody. I think that's good because it says we're pretty much guaranteed that somebody's going to answer that phone and take that lead.
Correct.
And you might find your really good lead generator or lead converter in that, because you might find one person that's constantly taking that call.
Yes, we actually have, I would say, 3 agents out of the 10 that convert a ton of online internet leads. And they're the ones that we have found out that are in office and calling and working them.
Yeah. Yeah. So and then as a leader, you're like, oh man, how do you reward that? How do you keep that going? Because like after a while, if they keep working online leads for like 2 years, they're going to create their own sphere, and then maybe they don't value the online leads forever. So it's just this constant cycle that you're on. So this person goes into the pool and they work these leads that were not answered upon. And let's say they convert them, or they're having a conversation with them. How then are they given back to the agents? Do you give them back to just the leader role, or do you give them back to the agents in like a round robin, or how's that work?
So basically we have Google Hangouts with the team chat. And so what I have told her to do is if they're in office, it goes to somebody that's in the office right now working, because obviously it's going next door to the office. Hey, do you want to lead? They're in the office working. So I want to reward them for being in the office. If there's no office, then it goes out on the Google chat. Hey, can anyone take a lead? And that's how we kind of
first come, first serve.
Her, then she can take the lead.
Is she's licensed?
She is, yes.
So if no one gets back to her, she can take the lead and work it?
Yep, I told her she can have the lead because I want to make sure it's getting worked.
Okay. Does she go out and show houses? Has she had clients this year?
Yes, she has. She's rocking it, actually.
Okay. Isn't it funny when you just pick up the phone,
Yes.
how things start happening?
Oh, yes. I use her as an example. But I will tell you this. I have come to learn as far as the people that are converting the online leads, they're not bringing in a ton of their own personal business.
Yeah.
So they have to. They're fighting. They're hungry. So they are going to call more.
Yeah.
The agents that are bringing in their own, that's been in the business a lot longer, they're getting repeat customers. They don't really need to call on a daily basis for 5 hours the online internet leads.
Yeah.
I know that.
So here's my challenge to you. What happens when this really awesome lead converter girl it's a girl, right? That
Yes.
you have, she's going to get so busy in real estate. What are you going to do?
I'm going to have to get somebody else.
Yeah. I think we find our phone ninjas, right?
Oh, yeah. Yes. I have definitely, I have tracking spreadsheets on every single team member. So I know where the lead's coming from, even if it's a past lead that they had gotten from the Smalling group 4 years ago and they're getting repeat business, which is what we love, and that they're still on the team. Like, we're tracking everything. So I know exactly where it's coming from, what we're, paying for, and those kind of things. So that's kind of nice too. But yes, I mean, that's where you live and you learn and you grow, and there's growing pains that we're going to have in the business, especially when you have a large team. And that's where I'm kind of getting to the point. Do I keep growing? Do I stay where we're at? Because we're kind of in our happy place. We've done so well here. We're all working together. And that's one of the things as a team lead role you have to think about.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that, maybe, we're kind of in the same spot. And I think that once this ISA, or this person who's converting the leads, once she turns into a killer agent, which sounds like she's on her way, I think maybe you find your next phone ninja maybe inside of your group, or maybe somebody that's not elevating as quickly as her, but they're on the phones all the time, and you just know that they're on the phones all the time. But sometimes we got to go outside too. Like sometimes we got to, we've got to post for a job right now for an ISA because we need to look outside of our organization for that. Talk to me about compensation for those agents. So just so everybody knows, we're in the Indianapolis market. So the average purchase prices right now, especially where Lindsey and I work, are around like 240, 220-ish on average. Do you pay your agents the same for leads as you do Sphere business, or is that different?
So I pay them based off of, if they bring in their own lead, they get higher splits.
Okay.
So that is their own thing that they're working. Just like if they do an open house, that's on their time. That's their own time out of their day, away from their family, that they're trying to create business. So I'm going to give them more money for that. If I give them the lead, it's a little bit different as far as that goes. It's not as good. So I want them to obviously bring in their own and take on what I'd give them. And I would like for it to be a 50-50 thing, but we don't always see that.
Yeah. Do you, are the people that you're bringing in, are they mostly brand new agents or experience from other places?
So the last 2 years, I've kind of made a goal to where I would love to bring in 2 seasoned and 2 newbies. And that's kind of 2 years.
And that's every year you want to bring on 2 and 2.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So that's a difficult conversation, right? So like open book for us, we have a graduated scale and commissions from 60-40 all the way up to 90-10 if somebody brings in Sphere. Basically every $1 million that they sell, they go up 5%.
Okay.
For our leads, it's 50-50 all the time. And so that's really challenging when you bring in the experienced agent, because they probably don't want to work the leads.
Correct.
Yeah. But then the new agent wants to work the leads generally for a while. And then once they start getting that Sphere and referral business, they kind of push it to the side.
Right.
So that's why I think an ISA or somebody that works your leads is vitally important, because priority on working leads is always going to ebb and flow.
Right.
Like, if they're hungry, they're going to work them. If they've got a sphere deal going on, they're going to leave them to the side. So that's how our financial structure is. And it creates kind of an issue where people treat the leads a little less favorably depending on their situation at the time.
I can see that.
So I think teams like ours have to have an ISA or something, somebody that converts the leads and gets paid for converting them.
Right. And they do get a certain percentage, and it doesn't come out of the team member splits. It actually comes out of mine.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
But I would say that it should come from the team member.
Oh, excuse me. We split it based off of our splits. So they don't pay the whole thing, but we split it.
Okay. All right. Because this ISA is giving them on a hot steaming platter. You know what I mean? Like ready to rock.
Correct.
So that team leader or that team member should have some skin in that game.
Yes, that is correct. Sorry. Excuse me.
It's all good. That was just my idea. I'm not telling you how to run your business. No. You're freaking killing it. So I don't.
Yes, correct.
I was just curious. Okay. So let's do some other questions. What was the best year you've ever had in real estate? And what did that look like in volume?
So to be honest, every year has gotten better and better. Like, we haven't scaled back. And this year I truly thought that we were going to, just because some of the team did not work, or they didn't work as much. But that was not the case after I looked at numbers and stats, which is shocking. Thank the Lord.
Yeah.
But this has probably been our best year.
Okay. So from a volume standpoint, this has been your best year. What was the worst year that you ever had? You've been in this 13 years, so you went through the recession. I don't know if that was your worst year. What was your worst year?
First year was my worst year, because I was brand new, just learning the business, but it seriously, since I've started, it has gotten better and better every year.
And do you think that that's just because of your grit? Like, you can be honest. Is it just because your grit and determination, or was there something that just flipped and your business got great?
Well, to be honest, like, I've always been, like, since I was little, a worker. Like, I used to clean my grandma's house for $2, the whole house. I have always worked. I love to work. If I'm not working, there's a problem. So I literally told someone the other day, if I had won the lottery or something, I would still work as hard as I work now. That is just me. That's just in me. And I know people are, there's some people that don't want to work as hard as me, and that's fine. Like, I have my team set up to where we have goals, and and expectations. That's what we do. I understand people are not going to want to do 15 million or work as hard, but to be honest, that's just in my bones. That's how I work and have always worked, and I love it.
Yeah. Where does that come from? Is your family like that? Is your mom, dad like that? Like,
my mom and dad are both hard workers. Yeah. And to be honest, you've got Ashley, who is also my team member, like sister, and she works just as hard as me. So
it's definitely a hereditary thing, right?
The family.
Like, you were fortunate enough to be born into a family that valued hard work.
Yes.
And not everyone is. So I guess that's the question, right? Like, as leaders, we need to I think we need to show people the opportunity that they have if they weren't fortunate enough to be raised in a family like that.
Yes.
And even if it's not hereditary for them, that's fine. But they have to they don't have to do anything. We need to do a good job of, like, showing them, what opportunities are available to them and how we can help them flourish, and then they'll see that payoff.
Well, and that's one thing that I've always told the team, like, you get what you put into it. Hey, we have expectations. I want you to do at least 2 to 3 million a year. If you do that, great. But if you don't, then we're going to have to regroup, because that's the way that in the structure that I want a hardworking team. Like, if you come into the office and you see how we all work, because we're all the same. I'm telling you, our team is just hustle and bustle. If you see that, you're going to turn into that. Yeah. And that's one of the things I tell our new team members: come into the office, hear us on the phone, see how we work, shadow with us, and kind of see the ins and outs of the business. And you will see that we work our tail ends off. Just cycle.
That's the whole, you're the sum of the 5 people you're around principle. Like if you're around excellence, you will be excellence. If you're around losers, you're going to be a loser.
Yes.
Have you ever had to let somebody go? An agent?
I have. And that is one of the, I will just say, a big weakness of mine as far as I try to be so nice and I just hate hurting people's feelings. And as a leader, I cannot do that. Like I have to be serious and strong and be a leader as far as, okay, this is, you're not producing, you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. But over the last 2 years, I have had to let people go.
That's
and it
hard.
was cool thing like, hey, you're not utilizing the team, you're not calling on your leads, you have mentioned a couple times that you want to do your own thing, and if that's the case, then go it on your own and do your own thing, and kind of mutually agreed upon it. And I also had another team member that it was just too much for her, and I'm like, okay, let's step back. And kind of one of those things where she put her license in referral.
Yep.
And it was the best thing that she could have ever done. Like I literally talked to her just last week and she's like, I feel like I can breathe. And I'm like, it's a great feeling. And that's what you needed to do. No hard feelings. It was actually a mutual thing and great for her.
Yeah. So. Yeah. I learned early on, it sounds like you did too, that if I didn't have the right, if I didn't set the right expectations. So like you said, I want everybody on our team to make it or produce at least 2 million. Like if you're not, Correct. They may not be a good fit. If at first I was just bringing people on to just kind of like fill the seats, I had too much business, I couldn't do it. And it was a really hard conversation when I knew somebody wasn't a good fit because I didn't set expectations with them. So it was right. Like they were like, why? Like why? I'm confused. Why are you letting me go? But over the last 2 years, I've had realistic expectations. Hey, this is how many calls you're going to make, this is how many deals you're going to do, et cetera, et cetera. Mm-hmm. And then when I have we use Hangouts too. When I Hangouts chat them and I say, hey, I'd love to get together with some coffee. I want to work through some things with you. They know it's coming. Right. And the conversation's like, I know I'm not doing what I should be. Maybe this isn't the right thing for me, or maybe need to go somewhere else. So it makes it so much easier to kind of part ways with people if the expectations are set right out the gate.
Right. Of course.
And you're telling them, hey, I want you to produce 2 or 3 million here, or it may not be a great fit.
Right. And I think they do. It's just one of those things. I think a lot of people think, oh, being on a team is fun too. But where we're at with our team, it's kind of one of those things where you're going to fit in or you're not. And I also don't want dead weight either, to where I could have another team member be on the team that would produce and, you know, deals, make more phone calls or whatever. And if you're not going to want to do that, then, you know, do your own thing, like, and see what happens. But it is nice to see, like, if that person does go out on their own, kind of seeing what they do on their own and see how that all pans out.
Oh, yeah.
Because I do also obviously look at those kind of things too.
Oh yeah, we watch that, right, as leaders, and it generally goes, our gut was right. You know, like, hey, I'm glad you make the cut now, because it would just been more years of struggle. So if you're a leader, you have to go with your gut on these people. What's your primary source of business? Let's talk about you first. So you do a lot of listings.
Yes.
Where are they coming from?
I would say our number one is past client referrals.
Yeah. Yep. And so you've been doing this for 12, 13 years. So that's easy for you to say. Let's say that you haven't. What got you to past client referrals? Like, what got you to the point where that's where all you're getting? What were you doing?
So I would say if you are doing your job and making those relationships with your clients, I mean, I'm talking like creating friendships, like, and communicating with them on a daily basis, they're going to end up using you again and giving your name out to their friends and family, no matter what. If you do a great job with the follow-up, I mean, it continues in this business. You just know that's just how it is. But if you drop them like a hot potato and have nothing to do after the transaction, they're going to forget about you. But you have to be obviously touching them in their face or whatever. But I feel like ultimately, if you do a great job, which you can also ask my team members, like, we are here to do our 110% best. It's not, we're not going to have to do something. It's just
Mm-hmm.
not going to happen. And also fighting to the death on a transaction, like to get it to the closing table, no matter what we have to do, as long as it's legal, like
Sure.
get them to the table. That is kind of where our mindset is. And at the end of the day, it's about the mindset, but they will keep coming back no matter what. I mean, I have team members that continually get the leads that I gave them. They're calling them back and not me.
Mm-hmm.
That's one, obviously, as long as they're still in the team.
Right.
And continue that past client referral. I mean, we send stuff out obviously throughout the year as well, but
That's what I was going to ask you. So do you have like technology that helps you keep in front of these people, or do you have an admin doing that? Like how are you touching them and loving on these people so everybody can learn?
we do have a system with Tucker. Not everyone uses that. We use Sync, obviously. You can set up drips and campaigns and whatnot. But throughout the year, we do pop buys. And then throughout do a calendar, obviously. We do the Colts magnets. We do certain things throughout the year to stay obviously in their face.
So you're sending them letters, you're stopping by every once in a while, you're sending them emails, telling them you're thinking about them, if there's any way you can help, and you kind of got a system where it's touching them. How many times do you think you're getting touched? Like 5-10 times a year?
I would say probably 10. Yes.
Okay.
So if they do refer us, which obviously we're hoping that they do refer us, we send them like a thank you card. Thank you so much. A handwritten thank you card, which people love these days. It all goes back to that, and people love that as well. So we do thank people for that business, and people love that. Like we appreciate it.
It's the basics. Mm-hmm. It's just the basics. It's just gratitude. Is really all it is. We do something very similar. So we have a drip text and email campaign that hits them for 5 years after they buy with us, because you kind of know the cycle. It's going to be probably 3 or 5 years, and they start thinking about it again. And then we check in with them. We send them the magnets. We send them, I sent them like a bottle opener last month, just that had my name on it, like all that kind of stuff. So you always got to love on your clients. Do it affordably, but be consistent about it. That's awesome. Yeah, that's why you guys are doing it. So you are all Sphere referral based business now. Mm-hmm. What did you do when you weren't? Like, where were you getting deals from? Were you on the phone? Were you cold calling? Were you buying leads? You mentioned you started buying leads. What kind of got it started for you?
It was buying the leads, which I know there's some agents that are anti doing that, but I had to start somewhere. I was fresh meat, literally was on a team, went out on my own, really didn't have anything at that time. So I got my broker's license at that time. And that's when I was just like, okay, I'm going to start doing the online thing. And yourself buying leads, obviously it takes money to make money. That's when I started getting some. And then following up, like we were following them up until they were dead in the water.
Yep.
And then just friends and family, telling people, sending out note cards saying, hey, I'm in the business. And then obviously social media. I mean, that's where it's at. That's where everyone's at. And if you're not on social media making that presence, then they're not going to find you, or they're going to call somebody else.
Yeah. Stay on top of mind. Yep. Buying leads. And it's funny, when you buy leads, you work them harder than you've ever worked anything, because it came out of your pocket for sure. Yeah. Okay. So if you're an agent and you're wanting to do like what a Lindsey Smalling can do, which her team is killing it. I mean, absolutely. That's killing it in the Indianapolis market. So you guys are aware. I mean, $60 million in production in the Indy market is very good considering our price point. So you guys are killing it. If you want to get there, you got to start somewhere. And so maybe invest in leads, write those handwritten notes to people, love on your Sphere base, because yes, that's old school, but it works. Like it absolutely works. So I'm going to keep you for like 5 more minutes because I want to find out some more stuff about your business. Who's the like best mentor you've ever had, or best book or piece of advice that you just live by? Is there somebody or something that you can think of?
So our team is very we love watching Tom Ferry. Tom Ferry business coaching thing, and it did change our business life. My sister Ashley did it as well. Different state though, so different things obviously that we had to kind of manage around and deal with, as far as like Indiana, our price point's totally different than California.
Yep.
But that changed my life, obviously doing different podcasts, webinars, those kind of things. But Tucker has a lot of like influential people that if I have a problem, an issue, a question or whatever, I can go to. And Donna Krebs, who is the VP of Tucker, she's very, she started literally from the ground up too, and just has done phenomenal in the business. And obviously look where she's at today, but she started more of like, she was an average person, just like me. Like we started from nothing and we had to work and just kind of keep going and going. I've talked to her many times. She's came and talked to my team and has been a huge encouragement just this year with COVID, just because at one point we were kind of like, okay, we need a powwow. We need to get together. And so I brought the team together and kind of gave us a little boost of encouragement. And she is an awesome motivational speaker. Touches my heart just because she's down to the family level, loves God, the business, everything, kind of like-minded like me. And that's kind of the, I feel like that I look to and kind of want to be like as far as that goes. But I mean, just our managing brokers, like obviously I've been in the business. I know some of the answers to the questions, but I want to hear it from them and obviously get a second opinion on things like that and stuff. But I would say my managing brokers are a big piece. Obviously, I read a ton of real estate books. I'm reading one right now called The Mindset, just to get back into that mindset because we are in a little grind and funk with this year, but we got to keep going. No matter what happens, people are going to buy and sell. So
I asked like the same question at the end of all these podcasts, and the listeners are going to pick up that it's always learning. Like every successful agent. So you mentioned all these things, like you're surrounding yourself with really smart people. You hired coaches, you read books, you got the podcast, you have a managing broker that cares about you and listens to you and also like gives you advice. All that circles back to just learning. Like you never, ever stop learning. You've never got it figured out. If you're selling $60 million in real estate, you don't have it figured out.
Nope. I literally told someone last week, every file's different. Every client's different. It's never going to be the same. We will continue to keep learning and keep going.
Yep. Yeah. And that's the way to be. And people would look at you, Lindsey, in our environment, like in real estate here in Indianapolis, and they would probably say that Lindsey Smalling, she's got it all figured out. Right. Or that Biff Ward or that Donna Krebs or all these people, they've got it figured out. And then you would go to them and they would say, I don't know half of it. Like I want to keep learning. That's what success is always predicated around, is learning. Last question. What failures have you experienced in team building or in your own business? Like what things have been really hard that you would want an agent to avoid?
Really avoid being with toxic people, I would say.
Yeah.
It could kill your mojo. It could kill the business. It could kill your year. And that is why it goes back to surrounding yourself with positive people. So when you get into this business, I would say make sure it's a good brokerage, a good fit where you have mind-liked people as far as surrounding yourself with those people. And don't get down on yourself. Like when I started, that was my number one. Like if I didn't win a listing or I had a mutual release, it would I would get so distraught and so upset. And someone said to me, you need to turn your focus around on another file or trying to get business from something else versus that one thing.
Yep.
Don't let it discourage you so much to where it literally will take away business from something else.
Yep.
And you've got to keep going. Like there's other business out there and just strive for something else and don't let that focus and make or break you.
I love that. We have brokers in our organization as well that when they get their mutual release, I mean, their week or 2 weeks is like ruined. And I want to like grab them by their shoulders and look them in their eyes and say, it's gonna be okay. And like, if you spend 2 weeks worrying about this, you just missed 2 weeks worth of clients.
Right.
Gotta go out there and find other business.
Now, it has taken me a long time to finally like get that in my head. And I will tell you, just happened literally 2 weeks ago. I didn't get a listing and my feelings were hurt. And I was like, okay, Lindsey, snap out of it. Like, on to the next. You can't let this kill your vibe. Go home and let it rule your family life and everything in this business. You know, if you're at home, and it just kind of correlates all together. But I literally was like, okay, I'm over it. Like, done.
Yep. You got to pick yourself up and go on. There's a lot of pie out there.
Yep.
And as much as we would want it, there's no way that we could have all of it.
Nope. And I don't want it.
That'd be crazy.
I'll share it.
Lindsey, this is really, really helpful. Are there any other things that you want to tell us about you before we go?
I will say, like, I had some struggles before I got into real estate, and I really feel like I was at a weak point, and then real estate fell into my lap, and it just kind of has spiraled to this great thing. And I love to share any type of success stories, anything that we have in the business. The team members that I have on my team, I want them to succeed. I want them to obviously be bigger and better, but I love people. I love what I do. I wouldn't change it for the world. Again, I have my ups and downs like we all do. And I will probably do this forever.
Yeah. You found your sweet spot.
I did. Yes.
It's perfect. Awesome. Well, for anybody that wants to send a referral to the Indianapolis area, you guys have a very high quality system there at the Smalling Group. I would definitely recommend anybody in our country, if you have somebody moving to Indianapolis, give Lindsey a call. Lindsey, do you care to share how people can get a hold of you or find you?
So my cell number goes to me direct. That is 317-435-5914. And then we also have a team email or website, the Smalling Group, that you can get on, and it goes directly to the team as well. And then obviously we have an email, thesmallinggroup.com.
So what is that email?
That is Smalling Elite Realty Group @gmail.com.
Okay. That's SMALLING Elite Realty Group @gmail.com.
That's correct.
Awesome. Lindsey, thanks so much. I hope this was very valuable for everybody, and you guys have a great day.
Awesome. Thank you.